Why Americans are losing their religion. A decades-long trend towards secularization, which has come more slowly to America than many other developed countries, appears to be picking up speed in the United States according to the polling and other evidence. In 1965, a Gallup poll found that the 70% of the respondents said religion is very important in their lives. Today, fewer than half of Americans, 45%, say religion is very important. Younger generations probably were not really brought up in the faith tradition, or maybe if they were, they didn't go to church that often. So I think that's a big reason. Jeff Jones, a senior editor at Gallup, says one fourth of Americans, 26%, said that they were religiously unaffiliated in 2023, which is up from 21% in 2013. According to the Public Religion Research Institute, the same study suggests that these religiously unaffiliated folks are not looking to get more religion. Only 9% say they are interested in finding a new religious or spiritual home. The decline in church attendance points to a major change in America's civic life and engagement. According to political scientist David Campbell, who says Americans pulled away from other types of groups in the past but were still affiliated with organized religion. Americans are less likely to be spending time with one another in the kinds of groups and the kinds of organizations where they learn to cooperate with one another. They get things done, they come together to mobilize on an issue. There is just a lot less of that, and the decline in religion is a big part of that story. Campbell, a professor at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana, says another reason for the drop off in religious faith may be an allergic reaction to the religious right among people who were already on the religious periphery. I don't want to suggest that this is the only reason that people turn away from religion, but it is definitely a primary one. A co-author of scientific studies on links between politics and religion in the United States. Increasingly, in many American minds, religion equals the religious right or equals the Republican Party or maybe equals support for former President Donald Trump. And if that's what religion is, for many people, they don't want any part of religion, he says. Sam Abrams, a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, which lists free people, free markets, and limited government as its core value, noted that one of the biggest drop-offs in religious adherence since the political rise of Trump has been among women. You can be actually from a fairly religious household, but now the extreme conservative rhetoric about things like abortion and the role of women is pushing young women away from that and turning them atheist, agnostic, and into none or nothing, says Abrams, who also a professor of politics and social sciences at Sarah Lawrence College. There was a bigger issue, which is just a rampant secularization and turning away from these religious organizations to begin with, and that the phenomenon extreme right pushed away very quickly. He adds, a Pew Research poll finds that the 28% of US adults describe themselves as atheists, agnostics, or nothing in particular. When it's come to the religion, the atheist accounts for 4% of the so-called nuns. The survey finds that the most nuns believe in God or higher power, but they don't regularly attend religious services. About 2/3 of people questioned say they are not religious because they question a significant portion of religious teachings. The decline in people attending services is happening in all age groups, according to Gallup. We see religious attendance much higher among older generation and much lower among younger generations, but we still see declines among all age groups, Jones says. So even though older people today are less likely to go to church than in the past, the growth in religious non-affiliation began after the Cold War, which ended in 1989. According to Campbell, Baptist University says that the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced many religious institutions to stop in-person services for a period of time, may have accelerated the non-religious trend. Media believes younger people are looking for something different than their parents, while older people might be attracted to church buildings and formal religious events. Younger adults might require a different approach. There is a need of shift away from more an attraction model to an authentic model, because I think that's what our young people really want, says Media, who is licensed professional counselor. We have got big buildings, and I think our younger generation sees injustice in the world. and far more interested than supporting an institution that does not feel like they are as interested in death as they should be. So what happens when a country loses its religion? Campbell points to examples of secular countries. They are functioning democracies. These Scandinavian countries are very secular, and they are generally thought to be among the most democratic of all democratic countries in the world. Those are also countries with high degree of happiness, Campbell says. So it is not necessarily the case the secular society is a less democratic society or less happy society. But with religious symbols deeply embedded in national US symbol and traditions, in God we trust, imprinted on currency, and so help me God, is part of the presidential oath. How likely is America to become more secular? I suspect that over the medium to long term, we are still in a new equilibrium where religion will not be completely expunged from American life, but it will only occupy a different space than it does now, Campbell says.